Well, hello everybody, Dave Womack here from the PrepperProject.com, and today we have a very special guest from Doomsday Castle on National What are you doing? Right here, DawnMarie from Doomsday Castle. Who asked her to be here? What's that? Dave Womack here from the PrepperProject.com, and we're about to do an interview with National Geographic.
Photobomb!
I quit.
I'm taking you. Oh, come. Hi, I'm DawnMarie. Oh, I can't give you my last name. I'm DawnMarie Castle, and I'm taking over Dave Womack. What you want to say? I don't know him.
Right.
I'm DawnMarie, and you need to buy this DVD. Hi. Well, it all started when my dad had 10 kids. My dad wanted a way to be able to protect his children in case a mega disaster happened, and in his scenario, he thinks an EMP.
Yeah.
Well, with that, my older brother called the show Doomsday Preppers because it was a show that my entire family loved and watched it every single night. Well, my brother called the show and was like, hey, just so you know, my dad, he has a bomb shelter underground and he's building a castle.
And he turns that down, right?
Exactly. So they're like, oh, that's awesome. Well, you know, we need to talk to your dad first. As soon as my dad found out about it, his face went cold. You told them about my secret location? And my dad was like, absolutely not. We will not be doing this show. Well, through time, my dad realized, you know what, I'd like to get a message out there. You know, it's okay if 10,000 people know my location, but it's not okay if 100,000 know.
Yeah.
So from that, we went and we filmed for Doomsday Preppers, and we were the second highest rated show from that entire show.
Very cool.
And National Geographic called us and they said, hey, how would you like to have your own reality TV show? And we said, well, you know, a couple years ago we were like, man, we need a reality TV show of our own. We weren't expecting it to be for the end of the world, but
Right.
this will be. But we're like, all right, yeah, sure, you know. And we wanted my dad's dream to come true, and if this was a way to make his dream come true, we said absolutely, why not?
Yeah. Well, when you and I were talking before the interview a few days ago, you were mentioning, you know, how you felt you had the perfect family for a reality TV show. So,
drama-wise.
Yeah, right. So, if you had to sum up the characters, if you will, in the show, could you relay any of, like, your sisters resemble such and such celebrity as far as their, like, for me, I'll jump down this one first and let you follow up on the others. To me, I'm talking with my wife, I'm like, yeah, they're the Kardashians of the show, you know, where you don't really fit that role. Do you kind of find that anybody immediately is kind of relatable to a celebrity or kind of a certain role or character?
I definitely think
It's a hard question to answer.
It is hard because, I mean, some of them, yes, I can relate to some stars that they probably wouldn't like so much, and some of them might, you know. Like, for instance, people are like, oh, your brother looks like Justin Bieber. Every single time my brother's like, I'm going to cut my hair. You know, and then my sister Ashley, she's very, very girly, and she's all into makeup and all kinds of beauty stuff. I mean, what star isn't for the most part? So she can pretty much relate to all of them. But I mean, it is really hard to relate them to a star because every single one of their personalities, they're so different. Yeah. We're so much alike, but we're so different at the same time. So even though people do, it's funny because some people do compare us to the Kardashians, which is funny, and they just kind of give us our own little roles, you know, if we were part of the Kardashian family. And so, I mean, it's one of those things that you may relate to somebody else, but you're still your own person.
Yeah, that's a great answer for it. As far as where you were and what your life was like before compared to now, I mean, talk to me about the transformations that the show's really allowed you to either pursue new goals or how it's maybe shifted your focus. I mean, how have you changed in the last year, really, since doing the show?
Yeah, I've definitely changed a lot. I mean, I'm all about, you know, I grew up with my dad teaching me how to use tools, and I mean, I remember my dad would bring home, you know, broken computers, and I would take them apart just to try and put them back together.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, in all my life growing up, we've gone to the castle, you know, to shoot and to play in the woods, and it was just a place to have fun at, really, why my dad worked.
Yeah.
You know, and he taught us stuff along the way, and, you know, from doing this show in the past year, I've learned, it's one thing learning how to use a tool, but it's another thing learning how to survive with nothing. No, even if you didn't have electricity, if you had no food. I mean, it was a painstaking experience, but if I had to do, well, if I had to do it over again, I probably, I mean, I might have to do it over again
right.
for the real thing. But I mean, I think my entire family has changed because, yes, in the show we do fight. You know, every family does. But at the same time, I think we learn to not only depend on ourselves independently, but also to depend on each other and know that you can't always do something alone, and sometimes you have to just get over your problems and work with your family. Otherwise, you know, they may not feed you that night.
Right.
So I don't think it was a great transition for my entire family. I think we all really grew from it. So
yeah,
it was a good experience.
Okay. So out of all the relationships in the show, who do you get along with the best?
I definitely get along with my sister Lindsay. Me and her are like yin and yang. I mean, she's my go-to girl. She's my best friend. We've grown up being best friends, and so that's how it's always been for us. But you don't see a lot of camera time between me and her because I think nobody really wants to see two people really getting along.
Yeah.
So we don't get a lot of camera time together. But yeah, me and her definitely, and even my dad, like me and my dad, and then me and my sister Lindsay, very close. They are the two people I go to for pretty much anything and everything.
Very cool.
So.
And then the difficult relationships in the family.
The difficult ones, me and Ashley don't get along too well. You know, and it's something I've always said, you know, she's more of a primper than a prepper, you know, and which is fine with me. You know, I can clean up nice if I have to, but I definitely do not wear high heels when I'm going hunting in the woods, you know, so, I mean, we get along, we're just on two different levels, but if I ever need, like, fashion advice or her to teach me how to do makeup, she's definitely the first person I'll go to. So maybe we're good on that level.
So when it comes to surviving.
When it comes to surviving, she will be left behind.
Eating your food, right?
Yeah, eating my food.
What kind of story can you share with us? I know there's probably some limitations of what you can reveal before the episodes air, but what kind of stories can you share of maybe just a really tough time or a funny time that you had with your sister or, you know, anybody else on the show?
Oh, wow, there were a lot.
Yeah, pick one.
Well, you know, like we were discussing, you know, there was one incident between me and her where, you know, we were supposed to be out in the woods together. And, you know, me and her, considering we don't get along, we were blindfolded. And my dad took us out in the middle of nowhere and just dropped us off and basically said, fend for yourself, and in the morning, find your way back home. He says, and just so you know, you need to head north. That's all he told us. You head north to the castle. Well, me and Ashley, we didn't even make it through the entire night, needless to say. You know, me and her started arguing, and I had to set up the entire tent, and then, you know, she thought she picked what area she wanted, and when she went and got in her hammock, you know, it fell down to the ground, and she was like, I don't want this one, I want that one. And, you know, it got so bad to where I ended up leaving, and, you know, I kind of pulled myself together, and I saw some honeysuckles. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna pull some, and I'm gonna give it to her as like a gift, you know, to try to get over some stuff and pull her some honeysuckles, because we used to get them all the time when we were kids. So I'm on my way back feeling pretty good about myself, like, you know, it's just gonna be happy, you know. So I go up and I see her. Next thing you know, I see her eating my MRE, the only food I had. And I look at her, I said, really? I said, do you really need 6,000 calories? And I threw the honeysuckles down on the ground, and I was like, screw this. and me and her started arguing again, and I ended up leaving, and I left the compass, I left the knife, I left everything there with her, and she's like, you'll never find your way back to the castle. Well, I followed the road. Needless to say, it took an hour and a half, but you know, I took the road, and you know, the next day, 8 hours later, she's like, I'm back. And I'm like, why did it take you so long? She's like, I went like 100 feet up a ravine, and I went down and up. I'm like, Ashley, I was like, did you use the compass? She's like, yeah, it said go north. I'm like, okay, well, I know it says take north, but you can take a little detour. So that was definitely a hard moment for me and her, but we actually, surprisingly enough, we grew from it, and we learned that sometimes two is better than one, and sometimes you do need your sister to find your way back.
And sometimes you need your space.
And sometimes you need your space. So exactly.
One of the things that I found really interesting in the show that made me want to reach out to contact you is your work ethic. You watch other people in the show, and you know, you're the oldest brother. It sure seems like he tries hard. And then the sisters, it was, you know, like you said, more into primping than prepping.
Yeah.
And then anytime there was a challenge, you just dove right in and you wanted to take that head on. Is that something that you always grew up with, that kind of mindset, that motivation, or is it something that developed as the show started?
Well, I would say it was growing up because, you know, I have a twin brother. So, you know, once they got to, I always tell people, you know, once they got to number 10, it was like, you know, like whatever. So I had to almost make myself worthy, you know, like I can do everything, I can do this to try to impress my family. And growing up with my brother, it was always a competition. He joined soccer. I ended up joining the soccer team because I outran the boys, and that's how I got on the soccer team. You know, so anything that was put my way, it was like, I have to win. And that was what it was going to be. And I always strive to do my best because I want people to see the best in me. Especially the first time, it's all about first impression.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I say, you know, I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like, anything somebody puts my way, the more dangerous, the better, because it's fun. Anything that gets your heart pumping like that, I find exciting, and it's something I want to learn about things that I've never learned about before, because if I do have to stand on my own 2 feet, I'll be able to stand tall.
Yeah, it's funny, as you say this, I know that people listening to this are like, oh, wife material, right there.
Yeah.
And
Twitter.
Yeah, and so I've been reading some of the comments you get, and I have to laugh, because all the comments are always like, oh, I love it when she gets angry, she's so hot, and like, it's like, oh, only when you're angry, apparently.
Yeah, I know, right? I just need to have a frown on it.
But it makes me wonder too, you know, with your social media, you mentioned you have a Twitter account. Would you mind sharing that so people can figure out how to follow you on Twitter, how to stalk you and creep you out?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I mean, it gives me something to do during the day. But yeah, it's at Doomsday DawnMarie. So unfortunately, my name was too long, so they had to shorten it up a little bit. So, but yeah, it's Doomsday DawnMarie. So I've definitely been had quite a few comments, and they're all very interesting, and I try my best to reply to everyone possible, because I know there are things that they want to find out. But I need to start doing like a group message for these whole, your wife material, will you marry me and will you follow me? It just needs to be like one big yes. But I'm working on categorizing that.
Right.
Work in progress.
Hashtag will you marry me?
Right. Hashtag no. Hashtag, well, let me get to know you. So it's...
So what was, I guess, your favorite part of having this whole show be built around you guys? I mean, it had to be, you know, a moment of like, holy crap, is this real? And then probably a moment of, is it actually going to come through? And then day one you're filming, and then obviously it's up and down from there. Being in the entertainment business myself, I get it. I had to hang upside down in a straitjacket on a green screen for about half the day as we were filming the commercial for Ringling Brothers. Hanging upside down, people aren't meant to be upside down for that long. And so I definitely understand the challenge behind having to put in all that hard work. But there was a lot of benefit that came from it. And so I guess back to the question, you know, what was your favorite part of being able to film this with your family?
there were a lot of not so favorite parts.
But
yeah, one of my most favorite parts is when me and my dad got to build the catapult together, because that was a moment that me and him really got to connect. You know, he got to teach me how to build, but at the same time, and a lot of it you don't see on camera. A lot of it was, you know, behind the scenes that, you know, they don't always put into the show.
Right.
But I mean, it was really nice being able to have that moment with my dad. And then also moments where, like, me and my sister, we'd go down in the woods and we would be out there and there'd be vines hanging out and we'd be swinging off of them and, you know, taking one of our, something that was really funny that me and my sister did, you know, she had this little, a whoopee cushion, I guess it's called, and my dad was in the kitchen of the castle one night, and, you know, he was doing his bills or whatever, you know, being an old man. I'm just kidding, he's young at heart. But no, he was doing his bills, and me and Lindsay, we start videotaping, and I have like a whoopee cushion, and I'm walking by, and like I squeeze it, I'm like, oh Dad, I'm so sorry, excuse me, and he's just still doing his bills, and I look at Lindsay, I'm like, what is wrong with him? And I go and I do it like 3 more times, and my dad, he's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, Dad, I do not know what's wrong. And me and her, like, we're just like the type of like sisters that we love praying, you know, pranks on my dad and my brothers and sisters just to see the reaction that we would get. So, I mean, there were definitely a lot of highlights that were behind the scenes that hopefully one day I'm going to be able to, like, definitely get those out there for people to see.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that really stood out to me when you guys when you're doing the show is how everybody wants to do this for Dad. You know, how did that, my gut reaction is, you know, there's not a lot I want to do for my dad.
Yeah, right.
I love him, but I'm not going to go build a castle. Hey,
exactly.
if I could go hunting with him, totally happy. But yet, all of the kids want to do this for Dad.
Yeah, I'm surprised some of us weren't like, so how much? How much are we getting? No, I mean, I think some of us, you know, have my dad's dream also. And it's not just, you know, people make a big roar about, oh, the end of days, oh, a prepper, this, that, the other. But you have to look beyond that, and, you know, it's cliche when you think about it. Because when you think of the word prepper or doomsday, you're like, oh, another crazy person, another psycho. You know, but when you really look at it, it's more than that. It's deeper. I mean, I believe each person, they have a prepper within themselves. So with me and my brothers and sisters, I think some of us were, you know, especially me and my brother Michael, you know, we want to see my dad's dream come true. We look at that castle and, you know, we want that to be, whether it be a refuge or just a cool place to hang out one day, we want to see it built just like my dad, and hopefully before it's too late, you know. And then, you know, with some of my other family members, you know, it could have been maybe, oh, it'd be on TV. You know, I can't sit here and say, oh, I didn't want to be on TV. Like, who wouldn't, you know, say, yeah, like, why not? Give it a try. You know, and I think we did. But as we get further and further along with building this castle, you know, I do think that his dream is starting to become all of our dream. And it's a work in progress, and it's something that we have to continue to work hard at because it's kind of big. Yeah. And it's going to need some furniture and some windows. So
how many square feet is it?
Oh gosh, way too many, I can tell you that much. I won't be cleaning it. Honestly, I don't know. With doing measurements and learning how high this part of the castle is and this, that, and the other, my dad has blueprints and everything like that. I could probably cheat and tell you, but it's, I mean, at different angles of the castle, I do know that it goes from anywhere between 30 to 45 feet. And then of course, that doesn't count the bunker underneath the mountain. So it's a big place. I think my dad said something about it's going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 bedrooms. Wow. So it's going to be pretty big.
So 6 or 8 bedrooms, 10 kids.
Bunker up. There's going to be a lot of bunk beds.
So looking at the what's the old nursery rhyme or the story about helping. I'm losing here, but the story where everybody like doesn't want to help and then it's time to eat and everybody wants to eat. So,
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I think it's like with the animals or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so the whole point about there's 5 of you helping, but there's 10 kids. How's that going to work out?
Well, you know, people have to understand, like in later episodes, another sister and another brother of mine, they are actually in the show. But unfortunately, we do have lives and we do have jobs.
Unfortunately.
And, well, yeah, unfortunately, we don't really have it easy like people think.
Right.
You know, because actually a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, they're just rich people, they're just millionaires. And I look at them and I say, guess what? I said, you know, if I was a millionaire, I probably wouldn't be working at a nursing home. You know,
Right.
I probably wouldn't be doing all that. You know, but I mean, I guess for them, you know, I hope they get there before shit hits the fan, like they always say, because the doors will be locked and you will be left behind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, the doors are always open. I mean, they'll always be open. Every single person in our family has our own job that we are to do in case of a catastrophe.
Very cool.
So, we all know what to do, almost like a fire drill, just, you know, end of the world drill.
What?
No big deal. It's not too far-fetched.
So what kind of jobs are there? I mean, obviously someone's got to clean, someone has to cook, someone has to get the food. You know, kind of who does what in the worst case scenario?
Well, hands down, Lindsay's the cleaner. She's like, I don't know if she likes it or if she's guilted into it, I don't know, but anytime somebody needs her to clean something, she's there. Like, she's like, she'll get well, not real alcohol, but, you know, alcohol to clean stuff. She's like, I got it, I'll wipe this down, I got this. And then Ashley can, she'll probably be the one that helps us create makeup and stuff out of earthly materials, I guess.
End of the days, real
end of the days, have a little mud for foundation, whatever, you know. And my brother Brent, I don't know what his role is going to be yet. It's definitely going to be a goofy one. I mean, a lot of people talk about him and they're like, oh, he's such an ass. But you have to get to know him. He is an ass, but he's goofy and he's funny and he can light up a room because he makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And then my brother Michael, me and him are definitely, and even my dad, we're definitely all on the same level because we're all about, like, you know, I mean, my dad's a prepper. He preps for everything. Yeah. Me and Michael, I mean, we prep, but we're more, you know, carefree kind of people, you know, like, oh, we'll have food for next week. Maybe, you know. So, like, I mean, we definitely do follow in my dad's footsteps. We just, you know, not to the fullest extent of, like, you know.
Not gonna go build Castle Junior.
Yeah, I may not build a castle. I mean, maybe one day. You never know. But
yeah.
I mean, right now I got a castle, so I'm good. I just need a prince.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But
no, you just doubled your Twitter feed right there.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I got my main man Noah, so we're good.
Very cool. Unfortunately, we've only got about 10 minutes left here, so I want to be able to, I guess, share maybe like some near calls. I mean, your dad kind of throws a bunch of stuff on you. I mean, and it wouldn't surprise me if those woods are booby trapped and you know.
They are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we do have a perimeter defense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any kind of accidental discharges of things or anything where people got hurt with all this?
Actually, yes. And it was actually my fault, which I'm not proud of it, but it's one of those stories that's funny but sad. Well, me and my dad did a scene where he was basically trying to teach me, and it's already aired, and it was a scene where you see the tree falling down and me, you know, in the truck going as fast as I can, and next thing you know, a tree falls in front of me and I had to slam on the brakes. Well, I was told that all the cameramen were going to be in clear distance to where I would not hit them, and the whole point was for me to see if I could go as fast as I can and get past this tree before it fell. Well, needless to say, the cameraman was not in a clear spot. And as I was going, you know, you're going uphill and you're small, all you see is clouds, the sky, and a little bit of sunlight, and that's all you see. So I'm riding along, I'm like, I'm like, this is gonna be fun. I'm like, oh, maybe the airbags will come out. Well, I'm going as fast as I can. I was probably going at least 45, 50 miles an hour, you know, within maybe 100 yards, if that. So I'm going, and next thing you know, I go as fast as I can. I hit the tree, and it's a ka-kunk, and then I'm like, where's the cameraman? And I'm looking around for him. I'm like, what is this? And I kick it into reverse, and I look back, and he's on the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, I killed him. I'm like, I thought I killed him. I'm like, and I just, like, you would think you would jump out of the car and, like, go, like, to the rescue. I just sat there. I'm like, my career is over. I was like, I didn't even know what to do. And needless to say, he was fine. He did go to the hospital to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah.
But no broken bones, just a couple bruises and scrapes, and you know, our friendship's over. So no, he's cool.
Sends hate mail.
Yeah, he sends me hate mail all the time. He's like, I will come back for you. No, yeah, so that was definitely an experience. And then when you look at the footage, all you see is the camera going and going all the way almost 180 degrees. So there were definitely, I mean, even my brother, he, I don't even know what he was doing, but he ended up slicing his entire hand open, and he actually had to go to the hospital because it was that bad. I mean, my dad got banged up a few times, and a couple of my brothers, they had gashes in the back of their head, and I mean, and even times where my brother almost fell out of a 100-foot tree, and just like things where the only safety that he had was one of those old, I don't even know what you call it, but it's like a seat with straps that, you know, lumberjacks use. Yeah. And it was one from like 20 years ago that my dad had. And my dad's like, it's fine. Like, it's good as new. There's just 3 straps missing. He's like, you'll be okay. So there was definitely a lot of near-death experiences.
The one that I saw that I thought was it was one of those moments where it was like, don't do it. And it was watching your brother you guys had just finished the door to the castle, the drawbridge, and so he straps on the tree trunks to the tractor and comes barreling up.
Oh my gosh.
Hits the door and goes straight.
And that was not planned. That was not planned whatsoever. I guess
off.
after me and him did our first battering ram, and I looked at him and I was like, you know, being older sometimes just means you're dumber, slower, and you know, and I guess that kind of got it in his head. Maybe he needs to do something a little bit bigger, and he definitely came out with a big bang. But yeah, we ended up having to get my dad's truck and chain it up, and had to drag it off the mountain. So I'm sure it's on the mountain somewhere. I really don't know what happened to it, but we didn't want to use it again. That's for sure.
Yeah, did he get hurt? I mean, when it flipped up, it looked like.
Well, as you see in the footage, as soon as he fell, like Michael comes to the rescue and like drags him out, and which I actually thought was kind of funny because I'm like, come on, he's a grown man, let him get out for himself. But no, he really didn't get hurt. He was okay. I think the most pain he had was probably when I laid a few on him in the episode that actually just aired. So other than that, he's golden. He's clear skies. And you know, he knows not to mess with me again, so yeah, we'll be okay. No pain, no gain, right? So yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, my dad has definitely raised us to be tough kids. You know, I mean, growing up, we grew up in a Christian home, and you know, they say spoil the child, spare the rod. So we know what a belt is. You know, so we were definitely brought up to be respectful, tough kids, and you know, my parents always said, if you ever throw the first punch, you better not come home. You better hope the cops take you. You know, and so I mean, they've always taught us, you know, self-defense, but always taught us, you know, don't be on the defense. You know, always be aware of your surroundings, but prep yourself in case something worse could happen. Yeah. You know, and being up on a mountain, I mean, yes, we have electricity and finally have running water, you know, but I mean, by no means is it easy laying your head down on a pillow and you hear like scratch, 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 and you're looking around, and then you're like, what is that? And then you lay your head back down, scratch, 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 and there's like bugs in your bed as you're trying to sleep, and the water's cold, and the only thing to eat is like an MRE, so it's not like you can wake up for a midnight snack unless you like save your crackers from the MRE from like last week, you know, and then don't open your jelly. So and they're 12 years old too, but thank God my dad bought more. So he's like, he tells us every time, he's like, it's okay, the MREs, they're fine, they're only 12 years old, and they're by no means they're not supposed to be that long. And I'm like, Dad, how do you know they're okay? He's like, oh well, I eat one once a year, and as long as I don't have the runs, I'm okay. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, we're all gonna die. I was like, and so thank goodness my brother Michael knows how to hunt, and he's teaching my other brother Brent. Yeah. So we were lucky enough to have some boar. So, and it doesn't taste like ham, just to let you know. It doesn't. I was expecting like some pink ham. It was like pot roast. I mean, it was still good. It was better than MRE.
No bacon?
A little dry. No bacon. No bacon. Or the bacon could have been in there, but it was chopped very thin. And then we had 12-year-old barbecue sauce on it. So it added to, and crackers. So it was good. It was good.
So let's talk about the social media side of things right now. You've got, you obviously have some lovers, and you obviously have some haters. How is it that you find that you deal with that? You know?
Well, you know, my producers and everything, they said, don't even read what people say to you. Just flat out ignore it. Well, you know, at first I thought, you know, that would be a good idea. Well, I started reading some of it, especially some of the ones on Facebook, and even some of it on, I haven't really had any feedback, like bad feedback on Twitter about me.
Yeah.
But, and not really on Facebook either, but in a whole, as a family, there's been some bad feedback. And you know, what I've done, I've taken it more as like a learning experience and a way to better my family and myself. So I do read the good and the bad comments, and the bad things that people say, I take that and I try to do better, you know? So if they say, you know, for instance, they say you didn't pull that bow back far enough. Well, guess what? Next time I pull back a bow, I will make sure my arm is all the way back, you know? So it's little things like that that you don't think about, but you know, you do once somebody tells you. And sometimes it can be really mean and they can be really cruel, and you know, they forget that you're actually a human also, because they're behind a computer screen, they're not they're not in front of your face.
Yeah.
You know, so I take it as, you know what, either they're just really bored and they got nothing to do, and I say, but hey, as long as they're commenting, it means they're watching. Yeah. So you're still my friend. I will add you and I will follow you.
Very cool.
So I mean, it's just one of those things. You gotta have tough skin.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be in this kind of business and not have tough skin.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm 5 feet of brick. You know, so I mean, you can say something to me, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll let it go, because I don't know you well enough to have hard feelings towards you.
Yeah.
So
it's a great attitude to have. You know, being in the entertainment business and also, you know, producing this show, or you know, even just the videos we put out there for people, and all of my background too, you get these haters, and I think that's great advice for anybody that happens to be in the public eye. Use it to better yourself.
I mean, there is always going to be that one person that may say something very cruel about your body, or, you know, this or that, but if it's not them, it's going to be someone else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, everybody gets to see what they say, but it's one of those things, they're not your family. It means more if your family says it, you know? Yeah. So, and I have plenty of brothers and sisters to run to. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going to get so lonely and not have anybody to talk to. I got 9, if I don't like you, I got 8 others or 9 other kids to choose from. So, it won't break my heart.
Yeah.
So.
I have 2 questions left. What advice would you give to maybe a new prepper out there in terms of prioritizing what they're doing? And I guess kind of along with that too, the next part of that is, what if they're on a really tight budget, as I'm sure you guys were, and probably still are to some extent. Obviously the show's helping with some of that, I'm assuming. But what advice would you give someone new starting out?
Well, what I'm doing, one thing I've started is I've started my own garden. It's something very simple to do. It's fairly inexpensive. I mean, plant a couple seeds, watch them grow. You know, like, how hard is it? You know, so that's definitely one way. And, you know, people say, well, how can I preserve that food? Well, you know, spend a little bit of money. I tell people to start prepping each week, save a little bit of money, and put it specifically for prepping. It sounds silly, but, you know, it's not going to sound so silly if something bad does happen.
Yeah.
Each week, save a little bit of money each day. Then, when you do have enough money, buy a dehydrator. I think that is one of the most important things somebody should buy.
Yeah.
And buy one of those and start. You can dehydrate meat, you can fruit, vegetables, and those are things that are essential in nutrition and things that you need. And, well, some people, you know, I tell them go to a thrift store and buy old shoes, buy old clothes, even buy baby clothes, because, you know, even in one of the episodes, I'm like, somebody's got to reproduce, and it's true. You know, somebody is going, and somebody actually said it's.
You just doubled your Twitter feed again.
Actually, I doubled it when I said that, so now I probably tripled it. And what people said, well, there's only family. What are you guys gonna do? Be inbred? Let's get one thing straight. I love my family, okay? But I do not love them that much. It will never happen. Like, we're just going to have to die off one by one, you know, so be it. But we do have neighbors, so we're good.
Love your family, don't love your family.
I love my family, just not live. And so, you know, go to thrift stores, you know, go to yard sales to buy baby things, to buy things that you could use. And don't buy a lot of things that, you know, plug into an outlet because chances are you might not have electricity.
So with that, I mean, a solar dehydrator probably just to
yeah,
specify.
I mean, you can even make one. I mean, there's ways to make a smoker and a dehydrator with household products. I mean, it sounds crazy, but you can go to a junkyard and buy little things and make something that could save your life. I mean, you really could. Always have fish in line, always have a needle in case, you know, somebody gets hurt. Learn how to suture. That's what I did. I learned how to suture. I'm certified CPR. I know how to use a bow and arrow, and, you know, I know how to, you know, descale and gut a fish. Like, simple things like that. It's things that may sound hard, but it's simple things, and it's fun. If you put it in like a work ethic, it's not fun. It becomes work, and it's like, ugh, I don't want to learn. But it's fun. Like, go out there, go in the woods, and try for one night with nothing on you but a bottle of water, and see how far you get. And with no experience, you may not get very far. So just take little sips of that water. So
one of my friends wanted to learn how to hunt, and so he bought an old rifle with, you know, it was like surplus Russian military ammunition, and it's like 25 cents a shot, so he's really prepping on a budget. And so he tells me, and I thought this was just brilliant. I don't know if he's going to listen to this. He might. He listens to a lot of the shows. But he tells me, you know, my landlord is going to teach me how to do some suturing. So what he's going to do is go shoot a deer this summer and then stitch it up.
There you go.
Take it home and eat it. And probably dehydrate it. But to get that hands-on practice of sewing that up, because a lot of people say, how am I going to practice? And they use that limiting belief.
You know, one way I practice is I bought a chicken breast from the store, and all I did was slit it open, and but with that, I learned how to suture.
That's a great tip.
And it takes practice, and, you know, if you don't have, you know, the materials that you need, there are ways. You have to be creative. Being a prepper isn't about having money. Yes, some people are fortunate enough to have a lot of money and be preppers, and that's great. You know, they made a good life for themselves. But then there's people that, you know, they're on a very, very low budget, and they don't even know if they can get a dehydrator. You know, start small. Start very, very little and work yourself up. It's not gonna get done in a month or even a year. Like, my dad's been building this castle for 13 years.
Yeah.
So
it's people don't realize that. They see just
they think, they're like, your dad's a millionaire. I'm like, I wish. I was like, that'd be so cool. You know, and I'm like, I wish I was a millionaire. Yeah. You know, so it's
soon.
He's definitely been, and, you know, the castle would have been done if he had the money to do it, you know, and that's why he has us kids up there, because he needs our help to make his dream come true. Yeah. So it's either us or it's gonna be a shell. Oh. And I would love to go there. My brother wants to make it a penthouse, so we gotta get that leather in there. So nice. That'll be good for all of us.
Last question for you, and I know this will relate to a lot of our listeners. We've got a lot of female preppers out there that the market doesn't really cater to them. So you're definitely an inspiration to all these women out there that they look at you, they look at what you're doing, and your work ethic, again, I think is just totally admirable. What advice would you give to a female prepper who is trying to get things started?
Well, you know I do refer a lot to things about buying baby clothes and stuff like that, but sometimes the inevitable does happen and a woman gets pregnant. Right. What I've been working on is a baby birthing bug-out bag. I think it's essential to have. It's very simple if you know what a child needs. And also, I mean, any advice that I could give to a woman, I would give to a man, because I see no difference. I mean, guys are a little cuter, but, you know, other than that, I mean, really and honestly, a woman can do whatever a guy can do. I mean... And
usually better. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Thank you. I'm glad you said it. I was going to. But, I mean, you know, she needs, you know, to learn how to get her hands dirty and not be afraid of the little things, because if you're afraid of it now, then you're going to be afraid of it then. You know, and don't be afraid to eat something that may not be so good. I mean, I ate rattlesnake for the first time, and trust me, I wanted to, but I didn't want to. I wanted to experience it, but I was like, just give me the MRE, you know. But I mean,
the 12-year-old MRE,
exactly, or the rattlesnake, you know. So I mean, you definitely have to prepare yourself to be ready for anything, and things that you would never expect to happen, they're gonna happen. Yeah. You know, so I would definitely make sure a woman has a man with her, because men have that natural ability to hunt. Well, some.
Well,
but I met a few, you know, but most have that natural ability, and women have that natural ability too. Women have been raised in a society to, you know, be lower than a man and to basically be the housewife, and which I completely agree with. Be the housewife, take care of the kids, do the cooking. But you know what? Damn it, if you need to go out and kill something, like go out there and kill it and bring it home, like slap it on the table. Like, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you have to do for your family, and especially for single moms. You know, if you're a single mom, sometimes you're gonna have to learn how to stand on your own feet if you need to keep yourself up. If there's not a man around, you have to learn how to do it by yourself. I would start learning now before the end of days come. So women will definitely, I don't think women will have too much of a hard time. Just keep watching the show and I'll teach them a few things.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
DawnMarie, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Absolutely.
And it's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk with you, and I'm sure that you have inspired a lot of people to better themselves as well as better their preps and be more ready. And I thank you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I get you to say I'm
Should I be like...
I got it.
No.
It's been recording.
No.